If you don't foam at the mouth over Mass Effect, you probably know someone who does. For those who are unfamiliar, here's the elevator pitch. Mass Effect is a love letter to Star Trek that revitalizes the popular TV series for modern audiences, translating Star Trek's episodic narrative into several playable missions. Music and visuals are reminiscent of science fiction from the 70s and 80s. Mass Effect appears to evoke this retro feel by incorporating old-school synthesizers into music and making everything look achievable through practical effects. With incredible attention to detail and creatively dynamic storytelling, this popular trilogy has captivated the minds of both pedantic teenagers and longtime Star Trek fans. The story of Mass Effect revolves around mass relays, ancient devices that allow for interstellar travel. Starships have no interstellar drives of their own, relying entirely on these relays to travel hundreds of light years in seconds. Humans align themselves with a democratic republic of spacefaring races who work together to explore the Milky Way, punishing a few evildoers here and there. The other races look down on humans due to the latter's inexperience, and humans don't have a seat on the council. You play as Commander John or Jane Shepard, a Spectre of the intragalactic government. Unapologetic manifestations of pure propaganda, Spectres are elite military units with insane privileges, including a license to kill absolutely everyone for copious amounts of experience points. As the first human Spectre, Shepard embarks on a secret mission to find weaknesses of and hunt down the Reapers, a civilization-destroying race of omnipotent and omniscient space vibrators who are clearly a reference to the Borg. These menacing machines may seem too big to be vibrators, but that's because they're your moms. Unlike the Borg, Reapers are canonically beatable, otherwise the game would be pretty boring, wouldn't it? The goal of the first game is to unalive a single Reaper, and Shepard works his way up from there throughout the series. By exposing the threat of the Reapers and outlining a plan to stop them, humans earn a seat on the council. Die-hard fans revere the complex plot, detailed lore, and immersive dialogue throughout the series. Among the most popular ARPGs of all time, Mass Effect showed how the genre could be so much more than Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe mages could wield gravity as well as fire. Engineers could summon machines as warlocks summon familiars. Mass Effect is far from the only space-age ARPG, but its popularity may have paved a path for more. As far as video games go, Mass Effect's narrative is of unusually high quality, rivaling contemporaries like Halo and BioShock. My favorite part of the narrative was engaging with the unique organic characters, asking them questions and charming them into doing things for me. While differences among races are often the singular catalyst for differences among characters, racial quirks still make for fun dialogue. Solarians are so smart that they talk noticeably faster than other races. They think the concept of declaring war is ridiculous. Why would you tell your enemies what you're about to do? While we expect many non-humans to live for more time, Solarians live only for about 40 years to compensate for their heightened metabolism and cognition. One of the main characters in Mass Effect 2, Mordin Solus, charms players by being an unusually good-natured member of his species. I think of him as the stand-in for Bones. Turians have legalized all drugs, including the good stuff like fentanyl. As long as you're not hurting anybody or failing to show up at work, you're good to go. Working most closely with humans, they're much friendlier than they look. One of the main characters, Garrus, is a Turian. He's the charming stand-in for Spock. Most importantly, you know how AAA developers are always bragging about how your choices will matter as you play their game? There are many great choice mechanics out there, but few rival Mass Effects. Shepard is constantly deciding whom to save, kill, or leave behind. It's like one big trolley problem. As for gameplay, I'm not sure whether Mass Effect 1's combat has aged poorly or wasn't that good in the first place. Skirmishes can maintain your attention, but none of the action is earth-shattering, and that's okay. Sometimes video games require patience, curiosity, and strategy. Kids these days need to learn to relax. Given the simplicity, I decided to play Mass Effect 1 on the Insanity difficulty. Difficulty is, of course, nothing beyond a modifier to damage and health. Anyone can beat Mass Effect 1 on Insanity with enough patience. Indeed, Insanity requires you to do the same thing over and over again. You needn't be much of a marksman to chip away at a massive health bar from behind cover. Anything that charges you down will obliterate you, but that probably won't happen more than a dozen times over the course of the game. Between these blue guys that run around in circles and robots that can't quite hide behind cover, enemies aren't exactly rocket scientists. Since my crewmates can't aim either, I handle all shooting and delegate magic abilities to them. Veterans may notice my fervent use of Liara and Tali. There's a superficial open world in that you can explore extremely limited areas on certain planets, but optional content is much more tedious and monotonous than the main campaign. Completionists will spend 90% of their time driving this little turd around. If you're not piloting the Mako, you're in one of 3 recyclable dungeons. Vaguely competent third-person shooting mechanics allow for satisfying drops and level-ups. Not only can you upgrade Shepard's loadout and distribute his talent points, but you can take a further dopamine hit from doing the same for crewmates. Since the Insanity difficulty fails to make enemies any less dumb, the game's pretty easy. Ridiculously sparse checkpoints across optional content can cost players up to hours of play, so easy isn't such a bad thing for this game to be. Why play Mass Effect 1 at all if combat leaves so much to desire? Well, if you have the entire trilogy on one system, you can import your Shepard into Mass Effect 2, which most fans regard as the crown jewel of the series. As for Mass Effect 3, I haven't played it at the time of recording, but the general consensus is that an underwhelming ending spoils the entire experience. I suppose you and I have that to look forward to. If you decide to pick up Mass Effect 1, I hope you enjoy Mass Effect 2. Don't kill the same thing all the time, unless you're playing this game, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.